So great, I don't have a mark on my face, and my upset son enlisted, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with the king, no matter, he'll get us the same. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I said, can I be a legend? Search your soul and answer me this question. Do you think I have what it takes to be great, but still be humble and learn from my mistakes? Shit.
Good night, everyone. Welcome back to your favorite sports show, although the two guys with me may have something to say about that. You all know by now, Ken of the GreenBaje Podcast. He is one half. Unfortunately, we're going to get AJ tonight. But welcome all the same. Ken, what's going on?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here.
And it has been months in working. I finally got Tony Tucker on the show. And what a great show to have, because he is a Packers trader. So he's probably going to love this first part of the show. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. What's going on, my guy?
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad to be here, to be able to come in and just remind everybody how great Brett Favre was. That's what I want to do. That's my joy.
The thing is, I should have known that you were coming on because I have my Brett Favre jersey, but I thought it fitting tonight's first segment to put on nothing other than 12. So let's get right into it. And Tony, I'm going to start with you. I'm sure by now we've all seen, watched, heard, saw the breakdown of Aaron Rodgers' interview on Pat McAfee. Unfortunately, I had to sit and watch it live, and it was nothing pretty. So, Tony, for you personally, as a former Packers fan who now hates the franchise and number 12 himself, what do you make of the interview?
So I didn't the entire interview. I just saw the excerpts that people pulled, right? Maybe I might have even seen it on the great Instagram handle of This Just In. I watched it, and I try to remove my hatred for Aaron Rodgers from it. Like, Aaron Rodgers is essentially my stepmom. I grew up in Upper Michigan, 3 hours away from Green Bay. Loved him. Going back all the way to Don Majkowski, right? When Aaron Rodgers came in and separated me from my greatest joy, Brett Favre, watching football, quick story, I wrote a paper saying my dream job was to be Doug Peterson because he used to be the backup for Brett Favre. My senior.
You're kidding, right? You serious? Whoa.
I'm serious. My dream job was to be Doug Peterson. I wanted to hold the clipboard and watch Favre. When I was watching Aaron Rodgers, I just was thinking to myself, like, kind of his arrogance had went to like another level. Like, he was going to sit there and talk about it and justify it and everything else. Like, I'm not here to condemn whatever your personal beliefs are on whatever's going on, right? But when you had been clearly caught misleading people in this scenario, he then needed to like clarify the misleading. At least that's the way that I interpreted from what I was watching. It was like, here's what really happened. I am very intellectual. I'm smarter than you. I'm going to use this parlance to make you sound and feel even stupider for doing it. And it's like, as soon as he was there, and I don't know if you guys are from Green Bay or have ever been to Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is not a Green Bay kind of person, right? Like, he does not fit the vibe. I love Green Bay, the people, the entire state of Wisconsin. It's great. He just doesn't fit there, never has. I can't wait for him to be gone. I know we're going to talk about that in another topic, but I read it and I was like, oh, wow, he's taken his arrogance to an entire new level.
So I'm not from here, but I do reside in the state of Wisconsin now, in Kimberly, which is like a half hour away. And as you're correct, like Tony, he could not be further removed from the reality of Wisconsin. But I will get into that because I do have a guest. So Ken, I'm sure by now you've seen the synopsis of what went on. What do you make of that diatribe? And I think it was like a half hour long.
So preparation, not just for your show, but for our show, which is going to air on Wednesday, I went and watched it myself. I turned on I wanted to hear everything, as it says, straight from the horse's mouth, because I did not want my feelings or my understanding of what he was saying and what he was doing to be colored through someone else's lens. Let me hear what you have to say yourself, Aaron, and then I will make a determination on my own. And one of the first thoughts that I had when I was listening to what Rogers had to say, as Alex said, it did sound very, uh, he did sound very arrogant in the way how he was speaking on this issue. He was not trying to, I guess, be understanding of what the situation is and how he has contributed to the situation. His whole thing was my body, my choice. Okay, no problem. Your body, your choice. I can definitely agree with that. But when you are making a choice that is not going to affect just you, but is affecting other people, then it goes past being my body, my choice. Secondly, Aaron Rodgers is a public figure in a very public position. And because he's a public figure in a public position, the rules that he operates under are different to the rules that you and I will operate from, because nobody's mobbing us for autographs and nobody's tuning in on Sundays to see us play. They're watching Aaron Rodgers, and be it right or wrong, football players, celebrities in general, do enjoy a certain degree of hero status in this country, that whatever they say, whatever they do is going to make an impact on others. So when Aaron Rodgers gets up in a press conference at the beginning of the season and they ask him a direct question, are you vaccinated? And you say, yes, I'm immunized. When most of the media who will want to stay in your good graces hear that, they are going to say, they're just going to take the yes and move on. They're not really going to be paying attention to the I'm immunized part, because immunization, for those who are not medical professionals, if I ask you if you're vaccinated and you say, yes, I'm immunized, if you are vaccinated, then the understanding that the layperson will have is your vaccination status also impacts your immunization. But no, if he's saying, well, I didn't lie, then I understand that McAfee will want to guard the relationship. But the next question is, okay, so if you didn't lie, then what did you do? No, he says that there was a lack of a follow-up question, because then he would have elaborated. But why would we need to give you a follow-up question for a yes or no question? You answer the question yes, and then we can move on. Or you answer the question no, and we can move on. But Rodgers, he was afraid. I would like to think, I would put it this way. He was afraid of the backlash that would come, because he did not want everybody, first off, to know his status, and he did not want everybody then to get on him because he was not vaccinated. But he's not the only quarterback specifically in the league who's not vaccinated. We know Kirk Cousins, he may or may not be vaccinated. We know Lamar Jackson is not vaccinated, and Carson Wentz also is not vaccinated. So these are three quarterbacks that are not vaccinated, and there are no pitchforks and torches at their doors trying to pull them down. He could have said what the situation was from the beginning, and we could have all moved on, and this entire debacle that we're involved in now could have been avoided.
So here's the thing for me, huh? No, I tried like y'all not to have my bias lean one way to the other, huh? And to be quite frank, I don't really care for his personal vaccination status, nor do I even really care that he lied. Here's my problems, my three problems I have with what he did. The very first thing, there are protocols in place. Whether he likes it or not, there are protocols in place, and there are protocols in place for a reason. Aaron Rodgers has decided which protocols he is going to be following. And then he took it upon himself to say, the reason I'm not wearing a mask at a press conference is because this is not based in science. Like, how dare you? And the reason I say that, you're not going to allow a medical profession or professional to come into your huddle and tell you your offense is not based on football. So then how do you then tell the NFL, who is being guided by particular guidelines, to put these protocols in place for the safety of everyone else? How then do you get and tell them, I ignored this rule, also by quoting the great Martin Luther King, by the way, I am going to ignore this rule because this rule is not based in science. Then on top of that, one of the protocols also states, as an unvaccinated player that you are, you can't be hanging out in large gatherings with your teammates. Well, we clearly have seen that he did that at the Halloween party. I love the costume, by the way. John Wick is awesome, but you being there is not awesome. The second and probably most important of the 3 points is the misinformation he spread. Again, it's your personal choice if indeed, or like you decided not to take 2 of the 3 vaccines because you claim you're allergic to the mRNA in the vaccines. No problem, if that is indeed true. You could have left it at that. No, you went on to spread misinformation saying, trying to counter the effectiveness of vaccines. Going as far as to say, if vaccines are so effective, why do people who are vaccinated still get COVID-19, still pass it on, and still die? Again, that's like me asking you, well, Aaron, if you are the least turnover-prone quarterback in the history of NFL, then why do you still pass, or why do you still have interceptions? Because nothing is 100% guaranteed. You indeed do not turn over the football, but you still have interceptions at the end of the day. So too with the vaccine. And why this is so bothersome for me, right? As Ken alluded to, people are going to hang on your every single word. You have an influence like none other. And worse yet, you have a 9-year partnership with Prevea. You are the spokesperson of a medical facility looking to ensure that people are vaccinated. Even if that is not your stance, all you had to say was nothing. Explain that you were allergic to whatever ingredients, and just keep quiet. But you care nothing about your own partnership with Prevea and what they're trying to do. And thirdly, Aaron Rodgers didn't have to do this on Friday. Aaron Rodgers is not playing on Sunday. For those who don't know, he has that spot with McAfee every Tuesday. So he didn't need to do this Friday. And the reason he didn't need to do this Friday, he's not playing on Sunday. The team should have been focused on Jordan Love moving forward and trying to win a game with Aaron Rodgers' absence. He could have addressed that Tuesday during the week in which he is slated to play against Seattle. Instead, the Green Bay Packers, especially Matt LaFleur, after that nonsense of an interview, had to turn around and address the matter in a post-practice press conference immediately afterwards, when every single question should have been directed at Jordan Love. These 3 things combined tell me one thing. I don't know the human being, but I have to take actions more so than anything else. Aaron Rodgers is selfish. You've sat down and chosen which protocols you are going to answer to. You have decided that you're going to spread misinformation despite the fact you had a partnership with Prevea, and you could not care how your interview impacted the team that you were not even playing for this Sunday. It's selfish. And Tony and Ken, I don't know if y'all want to jump in and add anything else.
Yeah, let me get in real quick. I tried to tell you guys these bad news a long time ago. They should have never done this. They should have wrote things out with Favre and moved on. But anyways, Aaron Rodgers is so calculated, and he's such an intellectual, right? He's like, I'm going to put out this sort of like beatnik generation vibe where like I'm just hanging out with Kerouac and we're here in Wisconsin, do whatever we want. Like, just we live down by the railroad tracks. Like puts off this vibe that he's not going to apologize. Like if you thought that he was going to, oh, well, McAfee is my bro, he's going to let me come on here and I'm going to say something. He's not. He's going to justify the behavior. Like even last year after that thing happened with McFleur, like, should we run the ball? Whatever, is my fault. He's in the back with like a case of PBR in the back of a pickup truck, like driving through Wisconsin or whatever. It's like, Okay, like you're crying out, you need to pull the attention away from the fact that you lost another NFC championship game, and this time it was in Lambeau. Like, no, he's not getting off the hook for any of this garbage with me. Like, and I'm talking about the losing side of it. This vaccination stuff, I don't care about it whatsoever. To me, it just showed me of more like who this guy is, and he's going to force his way into a good situation on another team next year. And hopefully it's not the AFC West.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully for you, it's not in Denver, where I think he's really going to end up. So, Ken, quickly then, considering I've just mentioned two clear protocols that Aaron Rodgers is in breach of, do you think the NFL should discipline him in any form or fashion?
So, I'm glad that you asked this question. And I'm glad that I'm wearing the jersey that I'm wearing right now when I answer it. Of course, they should be throwing the book at him and your Packers. And
Fucker, not a Saints fan would tell me that, of course. But
so here is my background as to why I say that they should be throwing the book at Aaron Rodgers. So last year, my Saints, we got fined $700,000 by the NFL. And we lost a 6th-round pick for 3 violations. The first one, apparently there was a maskless meeting held not maskless meeting. When we played in week 2, the guys weren't wearing the masks properly. We got fined $250,000. Sean Payton himself was fined $100,000 for not adhering to the mask wearing policy. I don't even remember who we beat in week 9 last year, but the guys who would have gone through all of the protocols all week long, we just finished playing a game, but because they were celebrating the win in our locker room, we got fined $500,000 for this. And at the time, they said that we were going to lose our 7th-round draft pick in the next draft, which they then rescinded. The third violation came in week 17 when a member of the public, somebody who was not a member of the team, was found and recorded on the security cameras in the facility talking to Alvin Kamara, who was not wearing a mask. Kamara then caught COVID. Lots of other folks then got taken out of the game because they were close contacts. Kamara recovered and he was good enough to play in that game. Others missed the game. We lost a 6th-round pick. That's 3 instances, right? So let me go back to this conversation about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers said that he was not wearing a mask because the science didn't back it up. Because you sit down in an enclosed space, but people sitting down 6 and more feet away from him, he figured that he should be fine. However, you're still in an enclosed space that is being run by air conditioning. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is one of those people who don't have saliva, but I know for the majority of us, when we speak, what we call in Barbados golf balls tend to come out. Those are the droplets which can carry the COVID. So then it gets into the air and everybody.
No, Ken.
Anybody.
That's not supported by science.
Okay, so that, according to him, is not supported by science. However, as you said, Justin, the rule is if you're not vaccinated, you wear a mask. Alan Lazard, who was also not vaccinated, he did all of his media availability up until this point in the season via Zoom. He was not in a room with people, so he could afford to have his face clear and just talk. Aaron Rodgers is having these conversations with people in the room with no mask. He then goes on to say he's also not wearing a mask because he believes that is because the NFL is trying to shame people and trying to put it out there that you're not vaccinated. But Aaron, you're not vaccinated. So why don't you follow the rules for the folks who are not vaccinated? If this is what you wanted to do, you own it and you go with it, and to hell with the consequences. But that's not what you did. You told a lie and you perpetuated this lie for the last 8 weeks. Because for the last 8 weeks, he's been doing media availability with no mask. So by my counting, that's at least 8 violations of the NFL mass policy. So if I lose a 6th-round pick, for 3, tell me what you should be getting. You can't just be taking no fine and no slap on the wrist. This is something that you have decided that you were going to do for an extended period of time. You were just going to do this, and you did not care who it affected. So no, you and the organization should have to pay.
Well, it's a good thing that the Packers don't use their draft picks wisely anyway, so whatever. Tony, I mean, I can almost sense your answer here. Should Aaron Rodgers and or the Packers face some measure of discipline from the NFL?
Here you go. Hold on to this one, Justin. Absolutely not. You can fine him all you want, right? But the NFL knew that he wasn't vaccinated. They knew it. They could have stepped in after week 1 and fined him, but they didn't because he's their guy. Here's the funny thing. If you do lose draft picks, it doesn't matter because he's going to be in Denver or the Seattle or the Raiders or whatever happens in this offseason where it shakes up. So it's like, no, you shouldn't lose anything because the NFL you can't retroactively punish somebody when you had the opportunity to punish him, but now that there's like a big to-do about it, you go, oh yeah, well, we were in the wrong. They knew what was going on. It wasn't like they didn't see his interviews when it was happening. So it's like, it's unfair that happened. But as much as I don't like Aaron Rodgers, I don't like Mr. Bountygate over here who crushed Favre's last game. I hate the Saints even more than I hate the other ones. You attacked my guy when he was trying to get to the Super Bowl, and Greg Williams can go down with the ship too.
I didn't see that one coming. I should have seen that coming, but don't worry. What I'll do for you, Tony, is I'll ship you my Brett Favre jersey. No, I really won't. Because I love Brett Favre just as much. So here's my thing, right? And I do agree with you, Tony. The NFL knew all along. But to protect themselves, and smartly so, they also did see that they have left it to the teams to enforce these protocols. And I guess that's where their loophole is. So if they have indeed put that loophole for that, the teams should be the ones to be enforcing protocols, then no, Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be fined. It should be the Packers. And don't make a mistake. Don't get me wrong. I know exactly what the Packers are doing or how they feel. They are trying their utmost best to toe the line with this guy so they have some kind of shot of keeping him at 2022 and beyond. So they're not going to anger or piss off Rodgers any more than he already is. But no, these are your protocols to keep in place, and you can't have Aaron. If I'm to believe that the team knows, the organization knows, can't be doing maskless interviews. You just can't. As Ken correctly said, there's no matter how far you think you are away, it's a closed room with air conditioning. Like, we're not stupid. And then to top it off, you are at a Halloween party with all your teammates, maskless again. Nah. The Packers would have known of this, and because of the fines that Ken spoke about and the fines that the Tennessee Titans incurred, I'd make it at least $1 million. I'd hit them really, really hard, because you can't come and tell me you are wary of the safety of players and letting this one man, because he's the MVP, flaunt the rules. I would hit my own organization, and that probably stops me now from ever getting a job at the GreenBaje Packers, which is my dream job, by the way. But yeah, I'd hit them with $1 million. Who I would not give $1 million to, guys, is Jordan Love.
Great transition.
Gosh. And before I let Ken start with this one, before I let y'all get into this, right? Let me say I have seen Jordan Love in two training camps, like up close and personal. So no one had to tell me how bad Jordan Love is. So Ken, with all that I've said, what did you think of Mr. Love this weekend?
So I did a little research, right? I don't remember what the numbers are now because I didn't write them down. I don't have them right in front of me.
19 of 34, 194 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
The numbers I'm speaking of were not his numbers because that was his debut. I went to see what Aaron Rodgers had done in his debut. But in his debut, his numbers were better than that. I know he had 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. I remember that part. I don't remember the yards and the other stuff. But when they were keeping Rodgers on the bench, waiting in the wings to get rid of Brett Favre.
Sorry about that, Tony.
I apologize. When they were waiting to move on and bring in Aaron Rodgers, everybody in camp and everything were saying that Aaron Rodgers looked like the real deal. But because of the good play that they were still getting from Brett Favre up until that last season, there was no way that they were going to sit the legend to then insert Aaron Rodgers until they decided that they had had enough of Brett Favre and they brought Aaron Rodgers in. This has been proven to be one of the worst mistakes any franchise has made on their first round pick. Moving up to get a quarterback that right now is still not ready. No, I don't put all of the blame for what happened yesterday on Jordan Love. I don't. The reason why I don't put all of the blame on Jordan Love is because as a play caller, Matt LaFleur has a responsibility to try to give him whatever he needs for him to be successful. And in a lot of cases, watching that game yesterday, it did not seem like if that is the case. No, they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and nobody mistakes the Chiefs for having even a competent defense. But the fact still remains that Love was not able to get the ball out, especially in the first half. He looked jittery. He looked nervous. He did not look like he was ready. You brought back in Davante Adams because Adams was no fit. However, Adams was not able to train all week long with the backup quarterback who is in because your starter has COVID. And now you have him trying to find ways to connect with Davante Adams on routes and on throws that practice would have been required. I can remember at least on 2 or 3 occasions, there were targets that were supposedly back shoulder throws, or that Adams is supposed to make the read and turn back, and Love throws the ball where he thinks he's going to be, and Adams is just running, going down the field. So when you look at all of this in totality, I mean, that you guys who are current and former Green Bay Packers fans should be feeling good.
Only one of us.
Well, okay. But you should not
former.
be. Yeah, it's a current and former. Current and former.
Oh,
You should
current.
not be feeling good about Jordan Love because he did nothing for us to love yesterday.
I like that. I'm sure that Tony doesn't watch Green Bay Packer games anymore, but I'm just still ask, did you happen to catch anything of Jordan Love, and what did you think of him?
So I had the game on the Red Zone, and it was pretty popular on there. I was watching my new love, the Los Angeles Chargers, dominate in Philadelphia. Let's go back and talk about history a little bit. Favre wasn't playing bad when they shipped him out. They were in an NFC Championship game. Donald Driver broke the route off, interception. Eli Manning goes on to beat the Patriots. Packers probably weren't beating the Patriots in that Super Bowl anyways. Aaron Rodgers' first year there, it wasn't very good. They were 6-10, I believe, and 2 of those wins were against the 0-16 Lions. So, they went from NFC Championship game to 6-10 Green Bay Packers, and then the next year, I think they were kind of middle of the road. Favre went to Minnesota, thrashed them twice. That year, greatest year ever, by the way. I got a picture back there of that. Aaron Rodgers came in, he had more time to develop. I think both times that he came in his rookie and his second year that he was there, he left with injury. He couldn't even make it through a backup role for 1 quarter when Favre and the Packers were up in those games or whatever it was. Jordan Love's situation was tougher for this aspect. You have COVID protocols in place. Like you said, you don't get to practice with Adams, who is a very good wide receiver. But a lot of what he does is based so much on the connection that he has with Aaron Rodgers. That's why when everybody's quick to throw him into he's the number one receiver, I have to put a little bit of that with look who you're playing with at quarterback. Is Tyreek Hill the same receiver if he's playing with Tua Tagovailoa? No, he's not. It's not even close. It's because he wouldn't have the ability to stretch the field the same way, right? So he comes in. He then has to play in Kansas City. You don't want to make your NFL debut in that stadium, right? Everybody's talking about how they did mom dirty, put her all the way. You might as well have bought her tickets and put her in Barbados. At least she could have been on vacation with you guys. How are you going to stick her all the way up there? She was like in Nebraska watching the game. Jordan Love in this situation, and here's why. This isn't an exact science, guys, but here's why Jordan Love can't succeed. It would be impossible for the Green Bay Packers to have 40 plus years of Hall of Fame quarterback play. Like, it would be statistically impossible for them not to have some hiccup, some average play, some bad play. Like I said, there's no science to that. I am strictly saying that there's no way that they go from Favre to Rodgers to Jordan Love being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. It just can't. Otherwise, you'd be like, is Father Marquette water? Is it what is happening in Wisconsin that we are there? We need to go there and just breathe some of that fresh air that they have. It wouldn't make any sense. I feel bad for Jordan Love.
So before I go on another dad trade, if you're a fan of this show, you already know my issue with the draft a year ago wasn't that we took Aaron Rodgers' replacement. It was that the replacement was Jordan Love. Because unfortunately, I also saw Jordan Love in his last season at Utah State. And I'm not quite sure why we took him or moved up to even get him. This is a guy who had 17 interceptions in his final season in college. And if you've heard me say this over and over again, you are not going to be turnover prone in college and escape that in a higher level. That's not going to happen. You're going to be turnover prone here as well. So, and for y'all guys, by the way, Charles Woodson did say when Brett Favre was going through the door, he said he's not worried because they think they have it in Aaron Rodgers. And in his first season, yes, we did go 6-10. But Aaron Rodgers was 28 touchdowns and just 13 interceptions because he's just never been turnover prone. And that's the highest interceptions he's ever had in his entire career. So, again, I didn't expect to win the game. Unfortunately, I've seen Jordan Love up close and personal, and he knew that this kid is not good. So 19 of 34, 190-something yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Doesn't sound bad for a guy making his debut. Here's the problem, though. Let's go deeper than this raw stats. We were 2-12 on third downs. 2 for 12. Let me look here. Jordan Love himself, I want to see, was 6 of 17 on third downs for 30 yards. 20 of those came in the touchdown late in that third quarter, fourth quarter. That got us in with Allen Lazard. Ken touched on it. That Kansas City team is so bad defensively. Now, yes, he's a player making his first start. Everyone knows that Steve Spagnuolo is going to blitz on third down. That's nothing new. And his blitzes are not exotic. I was in my house watching the game and I saw where the blitzes come because all he was doing was overloaded one side and sending the blitz. It was not hard to pick up. And when you do that, it means you are leaving the back end on a number of one-on-ones. If you cannot hook up with Davante Adams, I don't care what Tony tells me, Davante Adams is the best route runner in the entire NFL. If you cannot hook up with the best route runner in the entire NFL on one-on-one matchups, then what are you doing playing quarterback? You are, and this is a safety or a defensive backfield that is downright terrible. Yes, the blitzes were coming, but you had to be able to see which side they were coming from. And you have Allen Lazard, not the greatest receiver in the world, but Davante Adams one-on-one constantly. There's no safety over the top. You have to be able to make those throws. And time again, as Ken mentioned, he was just too inaccurate and easy throws that any quarterback should be able to make. And what's more ridiculous about it, the Green Bay Packers offense makes life easy for quarterbacks in terms of what Matt LaFleur wants to do. It is a run-first offense, nothing different from what goes on up there in Cleveland, how they simplify things for Baker Mayfield. The reads are not hard. They are simple reads. And to be fair, Matt LaFleur probably should have moved the pocket a lot and have Jordan Love doing things on the bootleg. But I can see why he didn't, because on simple roll-up throws, he couldn't make them. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When Aaron leaves the franchise next season, we have to draft a quarterback because Jordan Love is not that dude. And yes, it is his first start, and I don't want to sound like it's like, like I'm trying to judge him as compared to Rodgers. But if you can't make one-on-one throws, then what are you going to make? Oh, that's enough of me and that note. Let's get over to the AFC, which I think is a lot worse than Tony Tucker and a lot of people will let you know. Speaking of bad quarterbacks, and I do think that Baker Mayfield is a bad one, Tony. Without their star receiver, it seemed that Cleveland put up 41 points in a thrashing of the Bengals that I tend to like. So without Odell Beckham Jr., are the Browns actually better, Tony?
Yeah, I think we actually have statistical proof of that. They were better last year. They went on a run after he got hurt. I think that it's just him. Again, I talked about a player not really fitting the city with Rodgers and Green Bay. Beckham doesn't fit Cleveland's identity either. It's very much like, lunch pail, we're going to work hard. And even the way they're playing. The Browns were my pick to go to the Super Bowl. So for them to get back on track, OBJ needed to be gone. Because what their identity is getting Kareem Hunt back and Nick Chubb and whatever. So the idea that they need a best receiver, they don't. They need the best matchups that they can get, and any of those people can win. So, yeah, the statistics already show us that Baker's better without him. And then there's reports coming out after his dad put together that video. I was just like, come on, Pops. Like, you don't do that.
Hold on. Stop, Tony. Let me stop this now. No one believes that Odell Beckham Sr. put that video. No one believes that. But go ahead.
Yes. However that video got out there. And then there's a report that says he's running his own routes. Like he's just doing whatever he wants. And with Baker, he's not good enough for that. You could pull that stuff with somebody who's got the arm strength and a little bit of that like, oh, I'm going to fire and people aren't going to throw me under the bus. Like, you're looking at Baker like, bro, you're a walk-on. You're a foot short for your age. You don't have the arm strength of a fully grown man. Like all of these things that they say about him only makes it worse when he decides like, oh, he is open. I should throw it. But if you have any hesitation, turnovers start coming, fumbles start coming. Like, so yes, you need somebody that says, oh, I'm running a drag route. I'm running a comeback. Whatever it is, your route assignment is. Be on your assignment because Stefanski is scheming up a play to put an average quarterback in a place to succeed. I don't think Baker can have success in a lot of other places. He needs to be in this offense. It's another reason why I think he needs to give a hometown discount, even though he's not from Cleveland. He should be taking $10 million haircut a season and saying, be magnanimous. I want to keep this player and that player around, so I'm going to take less money. Get in front of it. And take less money. But yeah, they're better off without him.
Same question, Ken. Is it possible that Cleveland could actually be better without OBJ?
So I have to agree with a lot that Tony said just now with regards to Baker and Beckham and how he fits in that offense. No, I had said it from before, and I'll say it here again.
Please do.
Baker Mayfield had more ads than he had touchdowns. That was a problem. I do not believe that the problem here lies mostly with Odell Beckham Jr., however. Now, Beckham, as a receiver, has a reputation that he himself has earned as being a bit of a diva. Receivers in general are considered to be the divas of most NFL franchises. So when you bring in a diva, you don't want the diva then to become a headache. You don't want the diva to become a problem. So what I saw happen a lot in that first season when Beckham came to Cleveland was that Baker was trying to force him the ball in some instances. And I don't know if it was a situation where timing was off, or maybe everybody was just watching the game and seeing it just like me. Yes, you're trying to force the ball to Baker, and guess what? We have Baker doubled because Baker is the best receiver on the field.
You mean OBJ?
Yes, you're trying to force the ball to Beckham, and he's the best receiver on the field, and therefore we're just going to sit on these routes. We're either going to bracket him, or we're going to have somebody underneath when he starts to go deep, and then when your inaccurate self starts to throw the ball, chances are we'll have an opportunity to pick it off. So, as Tony said, when you have this whole video coming out now that Beckham Senior's account posted. Like you, Justin, I don't believe that Beckham Senior is the one. I just think he's the one that allowed somebody to click send. When you have this whole thing coming out showing that yes, Baker has not been utilizing my son in a way that makes him successful, then you have no choice if you're Cleveland but to get rid of him. No, the stats do show that once Beckham is not on the field, Cleveland looks a lot better. They're able to get the ball distributed a lot better, and Baker, for some odd reason, looks a lot better. And you would think that having a better receiver would make you more efficient at quarterback, but he's one of those bizarre quarterbacks where everything works in the inverse. So as a result, no, we have a situation that Baker knows persona non grata and he has to go. No, I watched Baker's last game when he was in. Yes, sorry, I keep saying Baker and Beckham. I need to say Mayfield. That way I'll not be messing it up like this. So I watched Beckham's last game with Mayfield in Cleveland last week when Beckham was free and Mayfield was not throwing him the ball, and the ball was being forced to Landry instead, who could not catch anything. So when you see all of these things happening, then it makes it you have if you're Odell Beckham, you have no choice but for your own benefit, for your own career, you have to get out of there, regardless of what happens now with Cleveland. Yes, they may look good for another week or two, but we know it's Baker Mayfield, and that bump back to earth is on its way.
So I don't know if Cleveland is better without him, but as Tony said, there's statistical proof that Baker is better than without him. And I'll get to that proof right now. Last season, without Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield actually had 11 touchdowns to just one interception in, I want to say, 9 games with a completion percentage of 62.5. Pretty good. In 26 career games without Odell Beckham Jr., and this is from when he was drafted, Baker Mayfield has 41 touchdowns, 70 interceptions with a completion percentage of 64.5. In 28 games with him, it's just 42 touchdowns to 29 interceptions, and that completion percentage drops to 60.7. So we have stats, as Tony said, that show Baker's better without him. And me personally, I thought, well, in first offense, they really want to pound the rock behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Like, what is Odell Beckham Jr. complaining about? Your targets are not going to be there. Until I watched the video that his dad put up. My word, it is either that Baker Mayfield is as bad as they think he is, or this is sabotage. And I implore two of you all to go back and watch the video. The video is so bad that I could not make it past the second game that they posted. This is not 1, this is not 2 or 4 targets that Baker was missing. In some instances, there were 7 and 8 targets per game where Odell Beckham Jr. is wide open and not getting the ball. And as Tony said, it may be a situation where Odell Beckham is running his own routes. But I can't see a situation where a wide receiver is that wide open. And this is not where, Baker has to go to 1 read, 2 reads, and eventually get back there. And by that time, he's open. You don't have that much time in the NFL. There are situations where Baker Mayfield is tearing him down, and he's either not pulling the trigger, or when he does, is wildly inaccurate with the football. I will say this, Odell Beckham Jr., I think, is still a good player, and Baker Mayfield is better without him, if both things can be true at the same time. Go ahead, Tony.
Just real quick, Baker's still in a developmental stage. So right now, it's not good for him to have OBJ. He needs to get into that year 6 or 7, and then he can have a receiver who wants to do his own routes. Eli Manning didn't have like a cannon or anything, but Eli had played so much football and studied so much, he could get to the line and already before the play was snapped, no, he's got one-on-one coverage. He's getting the ball here for sure. Or I know his tendencies because he's played for so long. Baker's not fair for him to have somebody who has such a big personality and you want to keep him happy. You want to do Head and Shoulders commercials with him. You don't want to alienate him. You're like, come on. We both got great hair, bro. Although mine's better, Beckham. I just don't dye it.
No, I was going to ask you, Tony, so when do you plan to dye the hair, though? You can't have it like that and not dye it.
I can't what?
You can't have the hair like that and not dye it, though, Tony. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're going to have to.
I'm 40. I can't be dyeing my hair. I got to pick my kids up at school and look people in the eye. I can't be going there with frosted tips. Oh, hey, don't mind me. I'm auditioning for NSYNC, the reboot, in a couple of weeks. It's not going to happen.
Well, speaking of NSYNC, the Cowboys and the Bills looked like they were gone this weekend because, my word, they were 2 bad football teams that they lost to. So, Tony, let me start with you. Should we be concerned about either team when you factor in how bad the losses were and the level of competition they were facing?
So, yes, we should be concerned about the Bills, not concerned about the Cowboys, right? Because I guess it depends on what your expectations were for them. My expectations for the Bills were potentially competing for a Super Bowl. The Cowboys have already exceeded my expectations. They're going to get to 10, 11 wins, and the defense has actually come along a lot faster than I thought that it would. You had maybe some issues with Dak being out in preparation, getting into that game. CD's a little banged up. Also, there's that freak play with the punt situation in that game. So it's like a lot of little, and they just kind of overlooked them. They were feeling themselves. They're allowed a game. But the Bills against the Jaguars? Are you kidding me? You cannot have, if there was a Josh Allen in the stands, that means Josh Allen was the 3rd best Josh Allen in the building that day. Anybody who named Josh Allen was better than Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills in that game. Here, this is the thing I said about the Bills before. I had the Patriots winning the division in my preseason predictions. You need to learn how to play with expectations in the NFL, and I wasn't sure that the Bills were ready to do that. When you looked at their schedule and all the tough games they had, you have to understand what the Patriots did is so impressive because every year they came back and they took care of business in games like against the Dolphins, in games against the Jaguars. They didn't take anybody lightly. They didn't overlook them. They weren't looking ahead to our big matchup this week. It was this week in front of us. We lost that game. We're on to Cincinnati. You have to be so disciplined and focused in the NFL to put together dominating. And everybody was just like, it's Josh Allen and the Bills, and they crushed it, and the Patriots suck, and Dolphins have Tua. It doesn't matter. Playing with expectations. Now, I still believe the Bills are a 12-win team, but I'm a little more concerned about the idea of you're now playing as the front runner. You're getting everybody's back. And that's why I'm more worried about the Bills than I am about Jerry's Cowboys.
And as a former Packer fan, he can't show any love for the Dallas Cowboys, or we'll definitely send somebody for him.
Ever hate the Cowboys.
Same question, Ken. Should we be concerned about either the Bills and the Cowboys?
I think that there is room for concern for both teams. But similar to what Tony said, it all depends on what your expectations were, what you were looking for these teams to do heading into this season. So we expected that the Bills basically would be the Bills from last season, that they would be able to win their division pretty handily because there was nothing in their division to really be concerned about. Yeah, the Patriots are the Patriots, but the Patriots have not looked like the Patriots now since Tom Brady left. And they were starting a rookie quarterback, and they spent a lot of money, a lot of bad money on substandard wide receivers. So when you looked at what the Patriots had, the Patriots are not really a threat or should not really be a threat to the Bills. Then the Miami Dolphins are a dumpster fire, and then you have the Jets. So when you look at the AFC East, there was only one good team really in the East, and that was the Bills. For the Bills now to go and only put up 6 points, 6 points against the Jaguars, of all the teams in the NFL that you could go and lay such a horrible egg against, the Jaguars are probably at the bottom of the list. The Jaguars have not looked like if they have a right to be on the field in almost every game that they have played this season, and somehow they still have 2 wins.
Except the London gets Miami, but that's just how bad Miami is.
But that is part of it, yes. But for some reason, the Jaguars need to play all of their games in London because that seems to be the only time that they play good every single year. The London Jaguars have gaslit an entire country to think that they're actually decent because they put up decent showings when they're there. When they get back on this side of the pond is another story. Anyhow, when you look at what the Bills were not able to do, the Bills, we know the Bills can't run the ball, but they also couldn't pass the ball this week. They couldn't pass block. They did nothing good this entire game against the Jaguars, where the Jaguars can kick 3 field goals and win. So if you are the Bills who had Super Bowl aspirations coming into this season, you have to be hitting the panic button. This is not just, you can say, oh, but this is just a one-off and this is an anomaly. They didn't play good offensively last week either. You remember the very first week of the season when they played against the Steelers, they didn't look good offensively then either. And you are supposed now to have an upgraded offense, having brought in Emmanuel Sanders to go with Stephon Diggs on the outside. You have done nothing to address your running back position, and the running back position is still a problem for your franchise. You have issues that you need to figure out and figure out fast. Especially know that I think they're just a half game up on the New England Patriots, who have been better than we have expected, especially from a defensive standpoint, and having Matt Jones, who is doing a reasonable job in managing the game and not giving the ball away. No to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are by far the best team in their division. So from that perspective, you would not be concerned about the Cowboys because regardless, the Cowboys should win this division. The Giants are not good. The Washington football team is not good. The Eagles have the worst quarterback in the division. So when you put those 3 things together, then the Cowboys should win the division. But I've told you before, Justin, my expectation for the Cowboys is that they are further, even if they were to find a way to win on wildcard weekend, they do not get further than the divisional round. And right now, when we look at the playoff picture and we see the Saints are in one of those wildcard spots, the Vikings could be one of those wildcard teams. And somebody from the NFC West is going to be in the wild card as well, be it either the Cardinals or the Rams. Woe betide them if they end up playing against any team from the West in that wild card weekend, because they can get beat. So I personally don't have any worries or concerns about the Cowboys because the Cowboys are doing exactly what I expect them to do. They'll make the playoffs, they'll get bounced in the first round, and life will go on as normal. The Bills, on the other hand, they have a lot more stuff that they need to figure out.
Yep. So I can agree with both y'all guys. And for the purpose of making perfect segues, which I've been trying to do also, I'll start with the Cowboys. Put that down to, as Tony mentioned, that being out because he's basically out for over 2 weeks. So he didn't have that mesh, the offense, the nonsense with the whole punt situation. And as much as the defense has come along, someone pointed out to me that defense has been living on getting multiple turnovers a game. And what happens when they don't force turnovers? And we kind of saw that on Sunday. Because as much as they have talent on all three levels, I like Trayvon Diggs, then Micah Parsons, Nathan Van Der Esch, and then up front, Randy Gregory. The issue is they are still bad in the red zone. Like they give up touchdowns just as much as the GreenBaje Packers do once you get down inside the 20. But still, as y'all correctly said, it's the NFC East. My only concern for Dallas is that they have to be thinking of all the teams challenging in the playoffs in the NFC. They have the best chance of getting the number one seed and the only bite because they reside in the NFC East. So in my estimation, you just can't be losing games to the Denver Broncos. But whatever, at least they know they'll be hosting a playoff game. My bigger concern is Buffalo. And not just because it's Jacksonville. My issue always was that they did nothing in the offseason to address their inability to run the football. And then on Sunday, you only attempt to run the ball with your running backs 9 times for 22 yards. And I think Josh Allen dropped back, let me see here, 47 times. That is not a recipe to win any football game. Far be it Jacksonville. And if you can't beat Jacksonville doing that, what happens when eventually you have to play the Baltimore Ravens of the world, Tennessee Titans, whatever not? Like, this is not going to win you playoff football. And I like Josh Allen. I like their pass and attack. I like their defense this season. I do not like their inability to run the football, especially in playoff time when it gets cold and possessions are fewer. I just don't like that. But I don't like any of the AFC challengers right now, including Tony's Chargers. So sorry, Ken, I'm going to have to start with Tony again. And let's keep it short, gentlemen, because we've talked about the AFC every single week. Who can we trust? I feel like Neil always looks, why do I keep bringing back this question? But you have to, like, Tony, in the AFC field, who can we trust?
Answer, it's definitely not the Chargers. Okay, if you think I'm going to be a homer, I'm not. It's the run. They can't stop anybody running. Worst rush defense ever. I would go. I kind of like what I saw from the Titans defense, and I've seen it multiple weeks in a row. So I would maybe lean towards that. And I know you guys don't like the Browns, but when you get back to that identity and what we saw from the defense and the cohesion, so I would probably go trust-wise. I trust that I know what the Browns would be. I know what the Browns will be now for sure. Going forward, it's like we're going to play defense. Myles Garrett's going to compete for maybe even MVP. I know it sounds crazy. That was my hot take. I still think he gets to 23.5, 24 sacks, and he gets some real MVP buzz if the Browns get to, 12 wins, 11 wins this year. We're going to hear Myles Garrett's name in there. So I'm going to go Browns, then Titans.
I'm warning you now, I'm going to take that hot take and put it as a clip for my Instagram post there shortly.
Beautiful.
Ken, same question. Who do you trust of these AFC teams? I don't trust any of them, but that's not true. I trust one. Who do you trust of these AFC teams?
The closest one to being trusted for me is Tennessee, because Tennessee has improved leaps and bounds over the last few weeks on their defense. They started this season horrible. Their defense was absolutely porous. But they have found some backbone. They've manhandled contenders 3 weeks in a row. They have not had a cupcake schedule, and they've beaten good teams. So if you can continue to beat good teams, you have to earn the respect sometime. So if they have gone through the hardest point of their schedule and know for the rest of the season they have the easiest schedule to come, then it has to be Tennessee. But I don't love them because at this point, they don't, as we said last week, they've just lost their identity and Derrick Henry is down. And now everything is going to fall back on Ryan Tannehill, who, especially at the start of that game last night, did not look good. But when you take everything in its totality and you look at all of the other contenders, because like Baltimore to me would be the closest one, definitely not Cleveland. But Baltimore, they have a clear identity and they've been playing to that identity every single week. And they have started slowly, but they've been able to come back and win games, even though things have not gone the way that they would want it to go, especially initially. So Baltimore would be my second pick, but I have to remember the Titans.
Oh, I like that. I love that. I wanted to say the Titans too, but they've lost Derrick Henry, and you can't overlook the record, as Ken said, because they do have wins. They do have wins over Kansas City and LA in LA. But to touch on the point about the defense, I can't rely on a defense that needs to force multiple turnovers a game. Granted, that defensive front four look absolutely dominant against LA, but I don't know if that's LA's lane more so than how good they really are. I just don't know if you can rely without Derrick Henry. Because if Derrick Henry were here, I would agree with you. I would trust Tennessee out of all these teams. But I don't know if I can continually rely on that offense, because outside of those turnovers, that offense was not very good last night. I don't even think they mustered 200 yards in totality. So without surprise, for me, it's Baltimore. I trust the head coach, and I trust Lamar Jackson. I told Marsha, and Marsha thought it was joking. And for those who don't know, Marsha is our other co-host who is working on our social media right now. I will never, ever disrespect or have a bad thing to say about her favorite quarterback ever again. Because all Lamar Jackson does comes on the field and wins games. And that's what Baltimore Ravens do in the regular season. And that is the team I trust to win the AFC North. And drumroll, to win the AFC's top seed. I just have to trust Baltimore. A tough division, but Lamar Jackson has not given me any reason to doubt it. So I won't go on a further rant because I know Tony has a show to get to very shortly. So before you leave, Tony, please tell the people how to find you and what do you and the good kids over there at the Warzone Sports Network, and I don't literally mean kids, but the guys over there at the Warzone Sports Network are doing.
At my advanced age. Warzone Sports Network, find us on YouTube. We're always doing live watch parties. We just hang out and jump in the chat and talk about sports. It doesn't have to be the sport that's on even sometimes, but find us, Warzone Sports Network on YouTube. That's our main focus. We're on all other platforms and just hanging out, talking sports, similar to what's going on here. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it was long overdue, but it probably won't happen again because you are a traitor to the Packers franchise, and I will never, ever forget that, Tony, ever. But I do plan on hopping on tonight with the watch party, so I hope you all do too. Ken, you are family on this show, but still, please let the viewers know how to find you and what do you and AJ have coming up next.
Yeah, so the GreenBaje Podcast, we are on YouTube and most audio platforms. Still fighting with Apple to get on, so eventually it'll work. I have faith and trust.
We gave up that fight a long time ago, but
yeah, I still have faith and trust that eventually Apple will let us on. But of course, you can find us on all socials as well. We have our show. We record it on Tuesdays, both the regular show, which airs on Wednesdays, and the Fantasy Spot, which airs on Thursdays. You can find us, as I said, on all socials, especially on Instagram. That's where we do majority of our posting.
And you can find me on their show, Week 10 show, because the Packers will be playing the Rams, and Ken wants to rub it in my face when we lose, but we won't be losing that game. You know how to find us here if you're a fan of the show. We're here every Monday night live, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we post daily on Instagram. So for Tony Tucker of the Warzone Sports Network, Ken being half of the GreenBaje Podcast, I am the Justin of this Justin signing out. Please go and hop on the Warzone Sports Network now and catch their live chat. Good night, everyone.
I don't have a mark on my face, and my upset son in Lisbon, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, he won't matter. He'll just be great. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I said, can I be a legend? Search your soul and answer me this question. Do you think I have what it takes to be great, but still be humble and learn from my mistakes? Shit.